would have 2 votes, so
Yes.
you can tell them we just have to formalize it if you want.
Perfect.
What would be the cost on it?
$35,000.
And Mike's going to try and cajole them into it
Wheel and deal.
and add in.
Yeah, like I said, I'd like to get a piercing tip for it. I want to see if they'll throw that in. So, but Jim, he's our mechanic. He's looked it over. Pretty much what he said, that old GM motor, he work on anything that we need to on the older equipment. So
Yeah. We can just put it on the agenda, she said. For approval.
Okay.
So it's a yes then.
That's what that looks like.
So it looks like we can say yes, and we'll just make the formal motion
on Tuesday.
on Tuesday.
Okay. Perfect.
Because we're both in agreement that it's
Yeah.
good decision. Good call.
That's going to be very vital. Last time we contracted it out, I don't remember the cost off the top of my head. I'm sure Martha could tell me what it was, but it was for one run up the pipe, and they didn't even get it cleared all the way. So,
You already sold it, Mike.
Are you gonna be running out of room in the garage for all this
no, that'll
new
be
equipment, all your toys?
toys.
Not yet.
No,
Got a couple more spots in there.
no, it will make room. That's not a problem. But no, that will that piece of equipment will help out immensely. That's what the boys are going to be going and filling it up now. They're out going out the Bellis Road to jet a pipe where we have a bunch of berm washing in, so it doesn't wash our road out.
Okay.
But other than that, ODOT's been submitted. That's one thing. That was the other last thing on my list. I submitted the contract. Just waiting on the verification from them. So they should have everything.
Okay.
So, but that's all I have. Anything for me?
Just confirming that the town hall door replacements is in the works.
Yeah, that's once they get the materials. Precision will be in Monday to replace that. So
Okay.
they'll be getting it in here shortly. So they
Was
should
that
be
the one, was that the 4 to 6 week, the one that we chose? Was it ASAP that we chose?
ASAP was,
He's talking about
ASAP was 3 to 4. The rest of them were 4 to 6.
Okay.
So yeah, once ASAP said once they get everything in, they'll call a schedule. So
Okay.
And these guys will be
Monday.
Monday. Okay.
Precisions for the heating and air conditioning?
Yep.
Okay.
At the historical building.
Mhm.
Yep.
Just in time for us to not need heat anymore. Knock on wood.
The only other thing for note while Mike is here is per company, I'm talking with them, they're waiting for acceptable weather to do the warranty repairs, and it's probably going to have to be warm enough and dry enough for them to execute it with the chip and seal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to definitely dry out. Otherwise that stuff won't stick in here. It'll look like what it is now. So
Okay.
And I reached out to Angie. I haven't heard back from her yet about the letter for Valley Brook.
mm-hmm.
And I know that she said sooner rather than later so that they can get their ducks in a row for the bid. So
Yeah.
I had suggested maybe we send it out by the end of next week with an invite for a meeting if they can
On the 5th.
get squared away with them.
Yeah.
Maybe 2-3 weeks after, whatever they decide on.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
I have nothing else from Mike.
I don't have
He
anything.
wants to get back in the hall. I know he's.
Get back in the sewer.
Oh yeah.
Go play with the new toy.
Go play in the water.
All I can think about right now, since Jack said that, I need to wash my hands.
You do.
Well, the nice part with that one pipe, we were debating on whether we were going to have to replace it and contract it out, but now we know we don't have to on Valley Brook, so that's good to go there. So
Young
that's a
lady is
plus.
offering you some assistance.
Would you like some?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Len. Perfect. Thank you. We should just leave
Mike,
it
how
up
we doing
here.
on those thermostat covers?
Just need to go to Depot.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we will get to those.
Block it.
Yeah. See, Martha is not with us today.
Do you want this back?
I have the original. I just made copies
For
so
you.
you guys had.
Make the motion on Tuesday.
Melissa is not with us here. Monique, do you have anything?
I do. So I wanted to know, first of all, and I was busy setting up the Zoom room, so I don't have the printed copy, but I wanted to know if you had any recommendations for the changes to the scorecard that I had created for the web designers.
Well, like I had mentioned when you brought it up, something in there that says, for everything over and above, they can be awarded a bonus point on it to, if they come up with things that we haven't anticipated that are good for the project.
Mm-hmm. Okay, bonus points?
Yeah.
And how many bonus points do you think, how are we going to do that? Because we need this by next Tuesday. That's when they're coming in, so. Bonus points for, let's just say above and beyond. 1 point for everything that they bring out that we had not thought of, or?
That's if it's something that is like, oh, wow, nobody else had it. We should have thought of this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a scale of 1 to 3 or
Scale of 1 to 3 for, let's just put the wow factor. Okay. Good suggestion. I did talk to Jen Amburn, who's very well-versed in this, and she had just suggested where it says, how long have you been in business? She said for web designers, she said we should not start with 11 years. She said I would start at maybe like 5 or 6 years and then work your way down. And then also she had suggested changing.
See, I'm okay with that. And that was the other thing. I didn't know how realistic some
the
of
2 weeks, the 1 month, the 2 months, the 3 months. She thought that we should start with 1 month and then go up to 4 months with the length of the time for the project.
1, 2, 3, 4 or more.
Right.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So we'll start 1 month. And then for the, how long have you been in business? You want to start at 6 years or?
And in business or doing web design?
Doing web design. I mean, I feel like that could be, websites have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
11 years.
Then I would maybe add a category in there too. How long have you been in business? For.
Okay. Add a category.
Do you guys still need me?
No.
Okay.
Unless you want to weigh in on this. Actually, I wanted to ask you, let me jump ahead and then we'll come back to this, is we had discussed inviting the department heads next week when we have these presentations for the web design.
Mm-hmm.
Started thinking about it, and I don't know if this is like a side passion that you have, web design, if you know,
Wait,
anything about it.
Here's the timesheet Mike gave me. So what are you thinking?
I thought, certainly if the department heads want to join us, they can join us, but we have a lot of people in-house that are very experienced with this, like Jen Amburn, Jeff Kinney has a background in it, Mike Schroll from the police department, Lynn, our new Lynn has a huge experience with websites. So what do we think about inviting these people, which by the way, I spoke to both chiefs and they supported that decision.
Yeah.
Which I told them they're more than welcome to still join us, but I thought that we would want it to be more relevant people who it makes sense to.
Right.
So in that, Are you interested in joining us for the special meeting next Tuesday starting at noon? Or would you rather just say, nope, I don't know anything about web, whatever you want?
Let me see what's going on with us first.
Okay.
And then I'll let you know.
Okay.
Let me see what our schedule looks like. So,
Okay.
but I'll definitely let you guys know. So,
Okay.
anything to get it, better educated is better for me. So
I agree. Now your excuse. That was the only thing I wanted to make sure you were around for. But what do you think about that? Inviting in Jen Amburn, Jeff Kinney, and or Mike Shaw. I just think the more people that can weigh in on it.
Yeah, I'd like to, especially, folks who have some kind of background in it, that would be maybe
Lynn.
that's a no over there.
I already checked with Lynn
Oh.
and Jen, and I have not talked to Sergeant Schroller, Detective Kinney, but I did talk to Chief Sentner last week about it, and
Well, if
he
he
thought
agrees, they agree.
you're probably right on that. Okay, so back to this then. Starting at 1 month, add in a question about how long they've been doing web design, the total cost for the project.
And I said, add a line for how long has the company been in business?
Yeah, I was going to just leave that and add this one.
Oh, I see.
in.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll send this out to you and Melissa also, one final time.
Okay.
The total cost for the project. Did you think that those were good buckets? 2,000 to 3,000.
That's what I'm unaware of. Yes.
And the total cost for the project, are you going to ask them, well, this is the total cost for the project and then any additional time after? Because there's always things that come up when you're doing the project. There's always additional things that are, oh, maybe I could use this because it's like a brainstorming session almost. Maybe we need to do this, or maybe, so is there an additional question in there that's saying, what's your additional fee if there's anything found while doing the project?
Let me read the questions to you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate the feedback. So the first question is, how long have you been in business? And then we're going to add in how long you've been doing web design. What is the projected length of time for the project? What is the total cost for this project? Have you developed a website for a municipality before? And then do they bring examples of it? Is the company available to train and refresh on websites?
Can you add something to that? Do they provide any type of user manual instruction with that training?
Is the company able to train staff and refreshes on websites? So add in what kind of
And
training?
provide user
manuals and-
A user,
guide.
Okay. What is the hourly rate if additional needs arise? How many revisions are allowed? If any, how many?
Who will be responsible for doing the revisions? Will it be them or
Them.
us? Okay.
Them.
revisions to the website, but not the content.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Is social media management a service that is available to us at cost? And what is the monthly rate? If so, then I have additional comments, but we'll just put in, instead of additional comments, the bonus points, because this is what we're going to be grading them on. So the bonus points for above and beyond.
What do you mean by social media management?
If we decide to go back to social media, do they manage it for us?
Question for that. Another thing that we might want to put in there is, are you familiar with the sunshine laws? Because if they're not familiar with the sunshine laws, it's kind of like they don't know what exactly needs to be put on there. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay.
Or just do high revised code, those types of statutes for social media. What's their background within government agency? Yes.
Yeah.
That is, have you developed a website for municipality before? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, it's always nice if they have some background with a government agency versus private.
Mm-hmm. Right, but does that question answer what it is that you're asking?
I think it does for the most part.
I guess we could go into more detail.
And we're going to have question and answer. I mean, it's going to be, we have 45 minutes allowed for each presentation. So these are kind of the basic things that we're looking at. And then we're still going to have the opportunity to ask them questions afterwards also.
The only thing with cost of project is how do we score that if their part of their cost of the project is them adding in things that we hadn't anticipated that we see value in? Maybe in parentheses there, rate based on cost value. You know what I mean? So even though you've got, see, you're putting a hard number in there, 2,000 to 3,000. So
I mean, like, I feel it's important to have the total cost in there, but I see what you're saying. So maybe like kind of a burger dot or
another line.
Cost value.
Cost value.
Cost value.
Cost for value, so that if you think it's worth the cost, it's valuable enough for the cost.
I'm just trying to figure out how would we rate that? Like, how would that go into the point system? What do you think?
Cost versus value.
That, yeah, a high cost for value would be a 4, and on down, that.
That's just, it's so subjective, I feel, which some of these, I tried to eliminate as many subjective questions as possible, because the point to this scale is it's a yes or a no. It's black and white. You know what I mean? I mean, we could just do a high or low, and that's it. It's 4 points or 3 points, and that's if they add anything else.
What is the total cost for the project for the basic what we had asked for, as opposed to, you know what I mean?
What is the total cost for this project based on the scope of work?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's much better. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Then you can get rid of 8.
Okay. What do you think? Anything else?
No.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Forward that to Lynn and I, just so we could take one quick look a little bit later, and then if we see anything else that.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the other thing I have is I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a proctor applicant.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Would you like to wait till the end, or?
We'll wait to the end.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, for me, let's skip over that. The fuel usage monitoring system, Great Lakes estimates it's going to take about 2 weeks to be operational once they do the data collection on employees and vehicles. So they're going to be sending us that some kind of data collection form, and we'll provide all that back to them, and they'll input it, and they'll be ready to go.
Okay.
And then following that will be update or creation of a fuel usage and monitoring policy so that the employees know what's expected of them.
Would that be, would we be working that into like the updates we keep talking about with the non-union handbook, or separate?
It'll be separate.
Okay. Because that's going to apply to the non-union and the union.
Correct.
Because of the police.
Correct.
Okay.
Talking about the definition of a resident relative to cemetery fees, neither Granger or Montville define a resident. I'm suggesting allowing a former resident to purchase if they'd been a resident for at least 10 years. I don't think that's unreasonable for someone who has moved away from the community. You know, it's kind of like having a vested interest here, you know, that to allow them to come back. So, think about that and, you know, see if you have any feedback, and I'll wait to hear back from Melissa.
I feel like we had already discussed that. I was just looking through notes of past meetings, and I feel that we had already discussed the 10 years, and we thought that was a reasonable amount of time. I was actually just looking at that last week, and I had 10 years written down.
Okay, if no objections, I'll move forward with drafting something with that. And then my last is, after talking with Martha, she has concerns about comp time and what it's doing. So I'm suggesting some language to insert into the employee manual that I prepared here. And it's not much different, except that that puts a cap on it. So in lieu of cash payments for overtime, the trustees may agree to allow a non-exempt employee to earn compensatory time. Comp time can only be earned by full-time non-exempt employees, and only with the approval of the appropriate liaison of the Board of Trustees or his or her department head designee. Comp time is only available when overtime is worked and is calculated at 1 1/2 times the hours worked. Comp time can only be accrued to a maximum of 120 hours. All comp time will be paid at the employee's regular rate of pay. Comp time off shall be granted with supervisor approval at a time mutually convenient to the employee and supervisor. So reading that in, and then I'll get that to Melissa as well, and we can discuss that further at the next meeting. But it's something to think about, because as comp time accrues, it ends up being
Very
a
expensive.
line item on the budget. So, and you know, the police, the union folks are already doing this, so it's just for anybody else.
So
Just to
service
protect going down the
and
road.
service and administration.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you want to discuss this on Tuesday, or when we revise the manual?
I want to do this now, because I don't want to wait, you know, another 6 months to get down the road for the manual.
Right.
But in the meantime, this was expressly because of the financial situation.
Okay.
So what was decided? You're going to discuss it now?
This is,
We're gonna
I'm giving
discuss
this
on
out,
Tuesday.
and we'll discuss it on Tuesday after Melissa's back.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
And that is all that I have.
We'll have to, I saw Melissa's email, which I had some questions also regarding the steering committee with the questions in the next meeting.
Yeah.
So we'll have to discuss it on Tuesday at the regular meeting.
I hear the concerns from people who have been emailing in, and they're not much different than what we have, you know, said that well, especially somebody wrote in and was like, is there an expectation that people will go through all this material, you know, to do a survey, which
That was my concern, which we got that email yesterday, which I agreed with almost everything in it of how big is it going to be. And I worry also about using words like comprehensive plan and zoning resolution. I worry about using things like that in the survey because I'm going to guess that 80% of the residents are not, they're going to see that and they're going to say, oh, I don't know what any of this means. And they're not going to do it. So I think it's very important to have, and I know that this has been discussed, but I don't think this has been decided, of having a key in there so that people know what some of these terms are, like conservation, development. Cindy, you're here, so.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were going to talk about this.
Yeah, no, please come on up.
I agree with there being definitions, you know, as I said, that, you know, if you're going to use terms in there that aren't
Common.
people or that people you think people may not be aware of, that, you know.
Right. So, you know,
Is that green light on? Cindy?
it is that my first thought when I saw the draft that was presented was that it reminded me of those exams you take in high school and college, you know, comprehensive reading exams. And the first thing you do is, I'm not going to even bother. But you have to keep it simple. That's just my mantra. You got to keep things simple. And if you're going to use words like conservation development, I'm going to have my own definition as a responder, and somebody else will have their own definition. And it's not going to be what we really mean by conservation development. So, but I think we need to use a term because that's what they are, but you need to define it succinctly, write in the question, and then ask the questions that you want to ask so that people don't assume conservation development means something different than, you know, that the fact that you can have houses clustered closely together. They like the idea of preserving the space, but then the trade-off is the lot sizes type of thing. And so
and maybe even having like some example, like that was my thought process of saying, you know, conservation developments and putting example, Walden Pond is one, and Redwood. Those are two. They look very, very different, but if you list them, most residents will know what that is.
I agree. Actually, that's how I did one of my questions. I defined conservation development, and I said the existing ones, and I couldn't remember how many there are this, so that if you drive past those neighborhoods, that's what your idea is. And if you don't, you can go check them out, you know, if you want to take that time. But I think to say, as defined in the 2015 comprehensive plan, that just like gives me a headache, you know, if I'm answering it, you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Just if the current, just simply say the current plan. I mean, you don't have to go through these huge words. Just say the current plan is this. And basically, to me, an audit is, here's the current plan, and are we still on track with it or not? I mean, that's the end of the day, right? Is the plan still valid or not? And that's what you want to find out. So you just want to ask those questions, that especially the controversial areas. And I think you shouldn't avoid those because those are the concerns that we've heard people express. You know, how much development is going in, what's happening to the open spaces. I don't think getting hung up too much on the word rural is super important, just because I think conceptually everybody considers open spaces, and that was asked in the two prior plans.
Yeah,
and it's almost
to define it.
And it's almost the same thing. And actually, if you look in the zoning resolution under conservation development, that section, it does define rural to keep the rural atmosphere consisting of A, B, C, D, and E. So in a way, it's been defined, and I don't even think people realize it. And maybe, you know, that should be our definition, or maybe it should be something different. I don't know. But I think you've got to keep it simple. You've got to keep it engaging. If I don't have a vested interest in responding to it because the questions are so long, I'm not going to answer. It's better to shoot out a bunch of shorter questions with simple answers. And open-ended is fine too, but it's harder to, do the evaluation at the end.
Harder
But
to tally.
it is hard to, but I think at the end, you got to leave an open-ended to see if there's any other comments. But the way it was presented, like the first questions just right off the bat, were just like,
It seems, I'm looking for your opinion, it seems to me many of the questions are more relative to changing zoning regulations
yeah.
than an actual audit of the existing plan.
It's almost like, well, it's a given, the plan is fine, we're just going to jump to zoning and
Right.
ask those questions. I felt like, hey, a consultant, and is a consultant. And, there's this old adage that what a consultant does is he says, let me show you your watch because you want to know what time it is and I'll tell you. And so, looking for that next engagement, perhaps, that's, but we have to keep our focus, and it's really a simple focus. And to drill down that far into zoning is
I would really like to see the steering committee members, take on that duty of kind of pushing him in the direction.
Yeah, well, I hope we will. And I think, I read all the different questions that people submitted. And at the first blush of the draft, I just felt that people's questions were not even considered. To me, it would have been better to take what people had submitted and try and consolidate them, where the common questions were, and start that as the draft, because that's what steering committee members and our constituents submitted. And
I agree.
That's where we should have started from.
I feel like that draft was actually created in January.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I mean, that's how I feel about it, because I don't think that it has really addressed the key themes of the meetings or the emails that I have seen with the questions. So I agree.
I just, that would have been a better start point, is just to first consolidate those and frame them, and then use that as a foundation to either refine them or to supplement them with other things. But yeah, I think the questions really need to be, we have a lot of work to do at the end of this month, seriously.
Yeah, we do.
And I don't mind the 4 pages, the 2-sided. I mean, that's a fine limit. But
I agree. I think we need to limit some of the technical terms, because I think it's going to turn a bunch of people off, and they're going to say, oh, I don't know what any of this is. And this is the key to the survey is participation. The more that we get back, the better idea we're going to have of what it is that the community wants. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So just don't have those big, thick paragraphs, because that's a turnoff.
People don't like to read that much.
I come home at the end of the day. If you work during the day, you come home, if it's simple, I'll do it right away. Otherwise it gets tossed to the side. So that's.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your feedback. Thanks for coming. Okay. You're becoming like our regular here.
I know. I would have zoomed. I was going to zoom in, but I'm having problems with my computer today. So
yeah, we did too.
we were having some too, but our faithful, loyal audience hung in there.
They are here.
They are. They are here. Oh, when did that happen? I didn't even notice that happened. Okay.
I do have one thing.
Okay.
The township, as well as township residents, have received this electric aggregation program, and it's requesting an opt-out. I don't know anything about it, and was hopeful that maybe you guys could review it. And
I've been seeing a lot of these on social media, people asking about this.
I'll take one.
I did review it with Martha, or gave it to Martha, and she responded that it has nothing to do with our current billing cycle.
Martha said ignore it.
Carrier.
We don't want to opt out.
I've been directing folks to the county commissioner's office. Because it's not a letter that we sent to the township.
Mr. Larson, I will get to you in 1
Figure out what
second.
that is.
The other thing I wanted to ask that I had, I guess, on my agenda, I have not had a chance yet to look into what Melissa had emailed me with the trash, the community trash, having Kimball bring a dumpster here. And I felt we had discussed that at the last meeting, saying we didn't really see a need for that, for the township to get involved in that if there was additional cost. But if I misunderstood that, I mean, what are your thoughts with that before I start making those phone calls?
I don't think that township should be paying for it. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, and they do have access to Medina County,
Right.
and it will be a reduced rate until the end of July. So before I started making those phone calls and taking the time to do that, I just wanted to see, I thought that we had said, we're not interested in the township going to additional expense for people to have their trash removed.
Right.
Okay. Okay, we have Jim Larson. Yes.
1 second. We're all set for the 19th for the vendor presentations, correct? I just want to confirm that.
I have not heard anything otherwise.
Okay. Because we left the room saying that
Starting at noon.
because I'm going to contact the one that I'm working with and let him know. Okay.
Yours is at noon?
Yeah.
Oh, and I was going to ask you just for the name of them, right? Suzanne, because you'll need it for the agenda.
I won't be creating an agenda.
Oh,
for
okay.
The special meeting.
So we don't need it? Okay. And we didn't publish it. We just published the special meeting, what time it began, and the purpose of it. Okay, never mind. I don't need it.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? All right.
From the audience.
From the audience, Jim, are you there?
Yes, excuse me, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I want to talk about the opt-out. I've done a lot of digging and so forth into that, and it's a rabbit hole that is huge, because if you look at the reference material they give you, some of the stuff that we've seen on social media that people posted to help others understand what this is all about.
Is it legit?
Well,
Do you know that?
Legit.
It's legit?
It's sort of legit, but it's like anything. It's basically a sales pitch for you to opt into them as your provider. But what I wanted to address the township on, there were words and innuendo in there that the township or whatever local agency you may live in, and when you receive this, somehow has blessed or selected an alternate provider, and that you will be assigned to that alternate provider based on what your local government has said if you don't pick this. Now, to my knowledge, I'm not aware of the township selecting by any means an alternate energy provider. Is that your understanding as well?
That's what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, you're not aware of it during your guys' tenure or the tenure of any previous trustee board has never.
Monique,
Yes.
Monique, can I apologize, Jim, before this gets too far along, I would like to just provide some information.
Perfect.
Okay, so probably about 14 years ago, I think it was Steve Hambley was the commissioner at that time, and he entered into the aggregation program. It has saved county residents. It's not a huge sum of money, but it has saved money for the last 13 years. As a part of that contract, They are required to send out notice to county residents every 3 years on whether or not they want to opt out and choose their own electrical provider. This does not change your electric bill. If you opt out, then you have the option of choosing one of the many electrical vendors that sometimes people research and choose. If you stay in, nothing changes. There's no change in your supplier, no change in Ohio Edison or your electrical bill. Everything remains the same if you just ignore it. But if you want to change it and go to a private vendor or some other resource, this contract allows an individual household to do so. This happens every 3 years. This is nothing new.
Okay.
That
Perfect.
helps. Yeah. And I guess, maybe at the county level, but there's no sham here or anything. This is totally legitimate. It's just business as usual as part of the contract every 3 years.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Martha.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
You're
And-
welcome. Bye.
And just for the record, I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I'm just trying to understand it. And there is a significant laundry list of people you could sign up with to do all this stuff. And frankly, that's why we've never signed up for it before. It's just too confusing, and just like leave it the way it is. And I plan on leaving it just the way it is right now. So, okay. Can you hear me, or I've lost the picture here?
Yeah, no, I can.
Oh,
see
there
you.
you're back. You're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It's set on the speaker, and I don't know how to change that.
okay. Well, thanks. Thank you, Martha. And that was one question. I had some observations that I've discussed with other people on the questionnaire, and what seems to have been lost, and I don't know how it was lost in this whole review of the comprehensive plan, is that, as I understand it, the committee is there to work on discrete amendments, discrete changes. It was never established to redo the whole comprehensive plan. And when I look through a lot of these questions, a lot of them are leading you into a redo of the whole plan, or the questions are so broad that you almost need a subcommittee just to address one of the items. For example, there was a question there on sustainability. That's a really complex and broad topic. And although I think it's worthy to be in the comprehensive plan, I don't know that it's worth investing time and effort in at the subcommittee level, when all you're really looking for is, what are some things that we don't like that we think we can change now to make that comprehensive plan better than it is, or change it in ways that might make it better than it was, because 7 or 8 years have gone by since it was written. So I haven't talked to a single person that likes all the questions. Some of them are okay, but it just overreaches, and you end up going down more bunny trails. And I think what it has done is kind of diffuse the focus on what needs to be done first and why they're there. And, because there's lots of little things that could be done to make it better. But I'm not sure that the proctor, in terms, Arthur, is leading you down that way. He's leading you into an entire redo of the comprehensive plan. And I don't know that you or anybody else really want to go down that direction at this point anyway. So I think you got a lot of smart people on that committee who really have a lot of good ideas, and you get a group like that together, whatever answer you come up with to an issue is probably going to be the right answer for now anyway. So I'm just throwing my 2 cents worth in about the questionnaire, and I would frankly leave it up to the committee to put together a much better questionnaire that focuses on why they're there than use this latest draft from Arthur as a starting point, because those questions are so broad and open. That's really no starting point at all. So, there was a lot of discussion about, conservation development, and the term conservation development, and I'm certain Martha and others have spoken about it, is when you hear the initial definition of conservation development, really, it's hard to disagree with any of it. But what you see when you put the conservation development in the hands of the developer to allow the execution of how that conserved land is used, that's when you get in real trouble. And I think if you put in the definition of conservation development into any questionnaire, and it's the ideal definition of it, everybody's going to say, yeah, that's a great idea. When in reality, it is a very mixed idea based on how it's executed. And if I was to offer advice to the committee on anything, it would be, you could put conservation development in there, but the manner in which that conserved land is used or could be used really needs to be in the hands of the zoning commission or a consultant by the zoning commission to have that conserved land used in a way that benefits the community and not as a vehicle for the developer to enhance the value of their lots. Because I think you can see good examples of a conservation development here, and you can see horrible examples of conservation development when the developer decides how that conserved land is going to be used. So that's all I have on conservation developments. And as an aside, I'm really happy to see you be able to make a decision that's quick when a great financial opportunity for this jetting equipment comes into your world there. I think you can save a lot of money. I think it'll be well used here because I've seen them use it around here. And, just sometimes decisions like this in a governmental environment can drag on for weeks, and then you miss your opportunity. I'm really happy to see you figure out a way to try to take advantage of this this great opportunity that's come your way. So, and that
was Mike.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Mike's pretty happy about it too. Okay. Anything else?
Nobody else wants in?
Nope.
Okay.
Any other questions from our virtual audience?
All right. At this time, we'll move into executive session. I don't think we'll have anything to present once we come out.
Mm-mm.
What's your purpose of the executive?
For the purpose
To discuss the Proctor applicant.
to discuss the Proctor applicant.
We have to do a roll call to go into executive session?
Yes.
Monique?
Yes.
Jack? Yes.
Okay, and it is 10:39, 10:38.
You can speak.
don't have to explain it to me later.
Okay. Make a motion to come back from executive session at,
I'd like to make a motion to come back from executive session at 10:45. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Or,
You're supposed to roll call when you come back and go into it, aren't you?
instead of, to return, oh, yes.
Yeah, to
Okay.
return.
Return to the meeting. Monique?
Yes.
Yeah, Jack, yes.
No decision has been made on the Proctor applicants. And that is all I have.
Okay, very well.
Anything else? Anyone else out in the virtual? Okay.
That's it. With that being said, make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 10:46.
Second.
Monique?
Aye. Yes.
Yes.